Your world is waiting, but first you have to access it. Welcome to the Joshua Roy Show. We don't do fluff, we do freedom. Real talk on mindset, cutting edge coaching techniques, and the hidden frameworks for lasting change. If you're ready to move from being stuck to becoming the architect of your life, you're ready for this. Hit subscribe. Let's get to work. So if you want to learn more about breathing, it's quite funny to me. I think about it this way, that people create businesses teaching people how to breathe. And I think that's such an ironic thing for the world we live in today, because in order to maintain life, a person must breathe. So it's a mandatory thing. It's not just a good idea. You must breathe. And the rule of three comes to mind. You can survive 3 minutes without breath, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. So there is a period of time that you can survive, but the shortest is breathing and breathwork. So the most important fundamental thing that we need to do as human beings is to breathe. And a lot of people are shallow breathers or chest breathers. Now, shallow breathing and chest breathing is not going to sustain you. It won't give you the energy that you need. And that's why people go and do exercise. So when you're exercising, when you're doing, let's say, the HIIT training protocol, when you're running up a hill, then what happens is you start needing more breath. The cells of your body start screaming out for more oxygen. And this, in turn, creates a situation where your heart's got to beat faster in order to push more blood around your system to transport that oxygen to the cells of your body. And because your cells need really 4 things to survive. The first thing that the cell needs is it needs oxygen. The second thing that a cell needs is it needs water. The third thing a cell needs is it needs to have a way to eliminate its waste. And then the fourth thing that a cell needs is essential nutrients, so that it can produce the energy that you require in order to sustain the life and lifestyle that you have. So we need it. So breath work is something that we do to make sure that we're getting the right amount of oxygen into our cells and into the cells of our body. And here's another interesting fact, is that when you breathe deeply, when you engage in diaphragmic breathing, you're actually sending more oxygen into your bloodstream, which then transports it to the cells of your body. And what can happen is that the cells of your body, through breathing and breath work alone, can turn from acidic to alkalizing. So this is really interesting, the way that this works and the way that it happens. So think of your body as a precision machine. And this precision machine, our body, the house that we live in, must produce energy. And in order to get that energy, we need that oxygen. Now, the beautiful thing is that the acidic or acid-forming foods that we consume can cause all sorts of health problems, especially people who live an acid lifestyle and an acid diet. And there are many people who live this way. Many people live on foods that are not healthy. In fact, some people go sometimes days without eating anything that resembles living food. Now, what is living food? Well, living food is something that is grown on a tree and something that comes out of the ground. So we need living food. We need to make sure in our fridge that we've got not just a crisper tray that has your fresh fruit and vegetables, but really the majority of your fridge should be filled with fresh fruit and vegetables, not out of a packet, but off a tree, out of the ground. And I do encourage people to think about having your own garden, growing your own food. I mean, with the price of fruit and vegetables, as it's gone up, it's sometimes cheaper now to use the ground, use the soil, grow your own. And there is a big push in the world, especially from a nutrition standpoint, to grow your own, because you know what you're putting in that soil. You know if you're overusing the soil. Whereas when we look at these large factories and large companies that are producing food, what they do is instead of letting the ground rest, they just put artificial fertilizers in, they put artificial materials into it, and then they keep that soil going all year round. And the essential nutrients that we need, that our body needs, that should be in the soil isn't there. And that's why we're getting wonderful fruit and vegetables, or wonderful looking fruit and vegetables that actually have no taste or flavor to them. And that's simply because of photophosphorus. And this is a substance they put into the ground or the soil to create great show ponies of vegetables and great show ponies of fruit that actually looks good, it's appealing, but it's actually tasteless. And what you taste when you eat organic is you taste the minerals. You taste the minerals in that food. And the more flavor there is, the more delicious it tastes, and obviously the more fresh it is, because what they do now is cold storage. And so what they'll do is they'll pick fruit maybe 1-2 years ago, then store it in cold storage for a period of time. And that could be weeks, months, or even years that they have that in cold storage. And so what happens is it freezes it in essence, and then it unfreezes it at the end, and we're supposed to consume it and think that it's fresh, straight off the tree or straight out of the ground. And it's just not. And quite often what you'll find is there's no flavor to that. Anyway, let's go back to the breath work. So tonight, I'll be running a session on breathwork. I come from Australia. I'm here in Brisbane, Queensland. And tonight I'll be running at 7 p.m. So it's, 11 hours away from now. I'll be running a session, and that session's going to go for about 1 hour. And I'm going to actually take the viewers through an actual breathwork process. So if you want to go through that process, you can jump in there, you can sign up for that, and you can get going. If you jump onto my TikTok channel, if you like and subscribe, you can see all the seminars that I do. I actually hold seminars and trainings on a number of different topics, breathwork being one of them. But I hold trainings on relationships, attracting the right person, manifesting the right person, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, NSR, nervous system reprogramming. I help people deal with anxiety, depression, help people that are dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and all other mental illnesses and challenges that people face. So what we do is I do a whole healing the inner child, a lot of classes about that. And I also help people to move forward towards living their best life. So there's a lot of things that I do in my program. I work with people on communication and improving their communication skills, listening skills. There are other skills that we use in relationships. One is the echo technique. Another one is sticky eyes and also bedroom eyes. I teach people how to do clean language techniques and skills. And so there's a lot of things there that I do. I also work with people around emotional mastery. And if you want to master your life, you want to be a master of your emotions. So you think about the way you live your life, the emotions that you run on a daily basis. What we want to do is enhance or improve the quality of our emotions. We want to learn to feel good for no good reasons. And there's ways that you can do that. And a lot of people don't know how easy it is. Once you learn it and then practice it a few times, it becomes more effortless. And what I encourage people to do is they close their eyes. And then I have people take a nice, deep, relaxing breath. And then I get people to go back to the past, and I use what's called the state elicitation script. And I tell people to think about a time where they felt happy, think about a time you felt joyful, and go back to that time. See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel the feelings of that moment. Now, as a person does this little process, inevitably they begin smiling. They have this big smile on their face because they're remembering a vivid, multi-sensory, or having a multi-sensory experience of a vividly remembered state. And when you go back to a vividly remembered state and you re-experience it, you're able to generate within yourself, within your body, the same emotions that you felt at the time. So let's say you won something, or you got an A in an exam when you're in high school, or maybe you won a trophy, or became a professional in something. Maybe you got some acclaim, some award. Well, what you do is you go back to that moment when you got that award, when you received that praise, when you were given that standing ovation, or when you just felt really good about yourself. It could be a day in your history where you just felt good. So what you do is you go revisit it. You just go back there. Now, this is not delusional thinking. This is using your past experiences with volition, using your past experience to enhance the quality of your life here, now, and forever. And so a person goes back and they revisit that vividly remembered state. They go and have a multi-sensory experience of it, meaning that they see it, they hear it, they feel it. They, if you can, smell and taste it. You do those things. Maybe it was a banquet. Maybe it was, you're in a nice place at the ocean and you could smell the fresh air coming, from the breaking waves, and you could smell that, that beautiful air. Or maybe you're in nature. Maybe you're in a forest. Maybe up high in the mountaintops, and so that you can have smell and taste there as well. So what you want to do is have this multi-sensory experience using the faculty of your imagination to get a vividly remembered feeling in your body. And so that's what I encourage people to do. And so here's how you do it. So if you're here with me at the moment, those that have joined, thank you for being here. It's nice to have you here. Who have we got? Cian Corporal. I can see you. And we've got Grey Goose. We've got names that I can't even pronounce. Behig Akul, 321. Anyway, I can say the 321 part. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about a time in your life where you felt happy. Just think about a time. Close your eyes if you'd like. Think about a time when you felt happy. Go back to that time. See what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel the feelings of happiness in your body right now. Just go ahead and feel those feelings. And now what you want to do is amplify it. So double the feeling in your body, and double it again, and double it again till it moves up towards its peak so that you're absolutely happy. Thinking about that memory, think about that achievement, think about that time in your life where something great happened, and just revel in that. Enjoy it. Allow it to permeate and penetrate every part of your body and being, every cell of your body. Just bring them all to life as you remember this incident or scene. And now, as you do that, just allow yourself to think about what you'd like to create today, what you'd like to do. And what you've just done is called the state elicitation script. It's a state elicitation exercise. What you're doing is you're bringing an emotion from the past into the present and re-experiencing those emotions or that emotion. Now, you can do it with other emotions. You can do it with happiness. You can do it with joy, which we just did. You can do it with peace or calm. You could do it with tranquility. You could do it with just about anything. You could do it with anger if you wanted to, but why would you do that? You don't need to get anger in your body. In fact, what we want to do is move towards more positive emotions in your life. And as you enhance that, as you practice that, you become more positive within yourself. Now, you might ask, Josh, what does this have to do with breath work? That's a great question. What does it have to do with breath work? Breath work is a resetting of the autonomic nervous system. So if I move this picture out of the way, you'll see it there. There we go. You can actually change your life through nervous system reprogramming. You can change your life through that. So what we do when we breathe is we bring our thoughts and our life into the present. And this is why people, when they're giving birth to a child, you notice that the midwife will say to the woman who's in labor, breathe. Make sure you're breathing. Why are you breathing? Well, it brings you back into the present moment when you're breathing. So the mind is going forward into panic. Like, is this going to destroy me? Like, am I going to die from this experience? This is what the mind is doing when the woman's in labor, because labor is extraordinarily difficult on the body. It requires a change of the body. It requires a stretching of certain parts, and it's not comfortable. It's generally quite uncomfortable. Now, there are some people who talk about the joy of childbirth and also getting women into that. And I think that's something that if you're going to have a baby, then you want to start looking into that. Look into, well, is there a way to reduce the stress on my body and to actually enjoy the experience of childbirth? Because that's a far better frame to go into childbirth. But I'm just using that as an example. So the whole idea of breathing is to turn off the panic switch. The panic switch says, I could die from this experience. The panic switch says, something in my life is scary. I'm worried. That's all panic. That's what we do as human beings. Our mind is focused on survival. And what we do with breathing is we bring our mind back into the present and we let ourselves know it's okay. It's absolutely okay. So we get that panic and we subdue it. Now, here's what we don't do. You don't wait for the panic. You don't wait for that anxiety situation in order to do the breathing techniques. You do it beforehand. You prepare yourself. And like I prepare myself all the time. Last year, I was traveling down to a karate grading, and this karate grading was happening at a place called Helensvale in Queensland. I do a form of karate called Kyokushin karate, which is nicknamed the strongest karate. And as I was in my car traveling down to this event, I began breathing. Now, why am I doing this? I'm preparing for a 5-hour training session that's going to be excruciatingly difficult. I'm preparing for it. And so what I'm doing is I'm breathing in and I'm pre-oxygenating. I'm getting myself prepared for what I've got to do. Now, you'll notice this with swimmers. If you look at athletes in the field of especially swimming, what do they do when they're preparing to jump in the pool? What are they doing? They're pre-oxygenating. What they're doing is they're breathing in and they're breathing out. They're breathing in, they're breathing out. And they're doing this while they're standing there at the edge of the water. Maybe they're standing on the block and they're ready to dive into the water. They're pre-oxygenating. Because when a diver jumps into the pool, and let's say they're swimming 2 laps, or it could be a marathon, several laps, or it could be a sprint race. Maybe it's only 1 lap. What they do is they will dive in and then they will use their arms and particularly their legs, flapping their legs like crazy to get as much distance from the initial dive as they possibly can. And quite often you'll see divers or those swimmers will dive and they'll go about halfway before even coming up and doing the actual swimming technique. It's like getting as much as they can out of the momentum of the dive before they actually have to begin swimming. And so this is really interesting to watch that. So if next time you see it, next time you watch the Olympics and you're seeing an event, a swimming race, watch them pre-oxygenate their bodies. They'll pre-oxygenate to get themselves ready to do the activity that they're about to embark in. And that's what I want to share with you today. And that's what I did with my karate training. I went and I was able to do the 5 hours of that karate training. And every time during the break, what am I doing? I'm breathing. Other people are huffing and puffing. I was doing a bit of that as well. But I'm also oxygenating. Like people look at me and after I do an exercise and they said, take 30 seconds to get your breath back, I'm deep breathing. And I've actually had an instructor ask me, are you okay? Is everything all right? And I'm like, yes, it's a breathing exercise. What I'm doing is I'm oxygenating. I'm getting rid of the carbon dioxide that's built out in my that's built around my body, and I'm pushing that out. I'm also getting rid of the lactic acid buildup in my muscles, because when you exercise, when you work out, lactic acid builds up in the muscles. And what you need to do is release that. So during the break, even if it's 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever the break is, you want to breathe deeply, push out the carbon dioxide, in with the oxygen, out with the carbon dioxide. Also, add that oxygen will allow the lactic acid to be swept up in your system and then eliminated. And so remember I said right at the beginning of this live here today is that our cells need a few things. They need oxygen, they need water, they need the ability to eliminate their own waste, and they also need nutrients. And so breathing deeply helps with a lot of systems in your body. The respiratory system is one. Well, when you're breathing, it is the respiratory system, but also the circulatory system. It's going to help there. And it's also going to help your lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is the waste elimination system. And that lymphatic system is not always moving in our body. Now, breathwork helps it to some extent, but you know what else helps it? Your calf muscles. A lot of people don't realize this. Think of your calf muscles as a pump. The calf muscles are a pump for the lymphatic system in your body because that lymphatic system isn't always active and moving, and that's why we've got to move our body. So it's actually a good idea to have a rebounder in your home or to engage in running and movement. If you jump up and down, bounce around, when your calf muscles are active, that stimulates the lymphatic system, which is the primary mechanism for getting rid of the acid or toxin buildup in your body. Does that make sense? Just drop yes in the comments if that makes sense. You're getting rid of that lactic acid buildup in the body. Anyway, I thought I'd just jump on and talk about breathing and breath work, everything that I've learned about breath work. I'll tell you a little bit of a story. When I first started doing breath work, I learned it under Tony Robbins. And the breath work that I initially took on was this one. I would hold my hands up in the air, I would pull down rapidly, and I would breathe forcefully from my nostrils. So it looked like this. I would do 30, I would have a rest, and I would just feel. I'd either put my hands on my heart or my hands on my legs, and I would just feel my body. I would just experience my body. Then I'd do it again, forcefully breathing out through the nostrils. Then I'd do it a third time. So 30, 60, 90, and in between was probably a 1 or 2 minute rest just to relax my body. Now what happens is, as you do these forceful breathings out, you're strengthening your diaphragm muscles. And what we do want to get is strong diaphragmatic muscles. Most people are chest breathers. They breathe shallow. They're not getting the amount of oxygen through their system as someone who breathes deeply. Strengthening, therefore, your diaphragmatic muscles is powerful. It's a fantastic way to live your life. It's absolutely wonderful when it comes to health and maintaining good health. Now, even if you didn't do anything else, didn't change your diet, didn't even drink more water, didn't do it, if you're getting the oxygen into your lungs, that's one of the components. Remember, we need oxygen, we need water, we need the ability to eliminate our own waste, and we also need nutrients. So just doing the oxygen alone will help you. Oxygen has a way of alkalizing your cells, the cells of your body, and what we need to do is alkalize firstly our blood, but also the cells of our body for optimal health. What is disease and cancer? Well, according to experts, disease and cancer is a buildup of toxins and acid in the body. Dr. Otto Warburg, who once won a Nobel Prize on his discoveries around health, said this. He actually indicated and said that no disease, including cancer, can live in an alkaline environment. I just want you to get that in your mind for a moment. And this is something that sent me onto an alkaline cleansing journey in my life. And when I was living an alkaline diet, and every time I've lived an alkaline diet, the weight just falls off. A lot of people wonder, well, how do I get rid of weight? And a lot of people think, well, exercise is the way to do it. If you've got excess weight, go to the gym. If you've got excess weight, work out. Now, that's good, but it's not the best. It's a way of eliminating weight. It certainly does help, but it's not the best. So the other way that people think to eliminate weight is, well, I'll change my diet and I'll bring in more alkaline foods and I'll eliminate or reduce the acidic forming foods in my body. And so a lot of people think that's the way to go. And there's a lot of merit in that way of thinking. I actually love that idea, the idea of changing the diet, but that's still not the most important thing. And you want to know what the most important thing? It's your mindset. Because if you've got the right mindset, that when your stomach and the nerve endings tell you, I need sugar, I need something sweet, I need excess fat, I need something else in my system, and it draws you to take away food, or it draws you to the sweet bun, or it draws you to excess amounts of bread or wheat or other things, then what you can do is you can turn that switch off. One of the best ways to turn off the switch is through eating a bit of zucchini or squash. Those are hunger shut-off switches. So if you want to get more control over your diet, then use that. But really what it comes down to is mindset. Now, the reason for that is when you eat zucchini, the sugar in the zucchini goes straight to the prefrontal cortex and it acts as a hunger shut-off switch. So if you're finding yourself hungry all the time, if you're like, I'm starving, I'm needing some food, I'm so hungry, what you then need to do is learn to shut that switch off, and zucchini is going to help you do it. So get more zucchini in your diet if you're not already eating it. I really am a big fan of zucchini for shutting down that hunger switch. But let's recap. Let's have a look at this. So the three most important things. What we've got is exercise is the least important of the three. Still important, still essential. I exercised this morning. I trained for around about 45 minutes of actual training. I went through my karate katas and I do Kyokushin karate. I also, on top of that, I went through some of my basic techniques. I did some running, some short burst running, like similar to the beep test. And I also did some other exercise, including push-ups and running push-ups and a few other things. So I did some exercise this morning. And I encourage you to do that. Do exercise. What do you do when you're exercising? You're breathing. What do you do when you're breathing and exercising? Your lymphatic system's working better. And that enables your body to eliminate the waste more easily. You've got to get rid of the waste. If you don't get rid of the waste, if you're sitting and you've got a more sedentary lifestyle, if you're a couch potato, well, your lymphatic system grinds to a halt. It doesn't eliminate weight as much. And the reason that you put on weight is because of acid buildup in the body. It's all toxin buildup. And the reason that your body holds on to the weight and doesn't eliminate it is because it's actually healthier to do so. Like if you've got two people, let's say a thin person and a fat person, and they're both living a very acidic lifestyle. They're both eating lots of fast food, lots of takeaway. They're not exercising. They're couch potatoes. They're sitting on computer games. They're not doing anything physically for their body to keep their body active and keep themselves moving. Who's more healthy? If they're both living an acidic lifestyle. Okay, one's fat, one's thin. Well, who's more toxic? It's actually the thin one will be more toxic because the fat one has more surface area in which to move all of the toxins around. And because you've got a bigger surface area, it's actually a defense mechanism built into our body and our nervous system for sustaining life. And so what your body does is it just opens up those fat cells. And fat cells, just so you're aware, are unlimited in their size. Fat cells can become as big as you like. Like there's no limit to how big a fat cell can become. So thank you for letting me share some of these ideas. I hope you got something out of that. Please follow me if you want more health advice, more health tips, but more importantly, if you want to reprogram your nervous system for success. Welcome back, and I hope you learned something great, something you're going to take out to improve the quality of your life. Now, this has been Joshua Roy. I'm your happiness and fulfillment coach. I'm a results coach helping you to take more control of your mind, your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, and your life. If you haven't already, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe so that you can get all of the new exciting content that is delivered through this and other platforms.